RVs, Red Right Hand Reviews, and today I just kind of wanted to make a video. I'm just kind of gonna wing it. It's more a video about the mental health of an action figure collector, and I feel like this is a topic that's not really talked about enough. And or maybe it is, I don't know, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that like this hobby is the greatest hobby ever. It's the best hobby ever. Wouldn't trade it for another hobby. Collecting action figures is awesome. But I feel like just like in anything, it it can take a toll on your mental health. And I've been a victim of it a few times. It could take it, and that meaning, like obviously money is always a factor in it. FOMO is always a factor, and I think, and then for me, the most stressful thing is space. And I think a lot of collectors can kind of relate to it because there's a figure coming out that's $550 and it's a dragon. And it's probably like one of the best, it's probably the best dragon figure ever made. It's made by the Four Horsemen, part of the Mythic Legions line. And I wanted to get it. It's a figure I really, really want. And, but $550 is a lot, and there's stretch goals and this and that. But the thing is like 6 feet long. So then it's like, at the same time, it's like, I have too much of this stuff already. I don't have space to put anything anymore. You know, when I sell stuff off to buy other stuff off that I have, because I try not to use so much of the money I make from work, from my actual day job. And try to, you know, sell stuff that I have already, because I have like a lot of stuff. So I try to sell it off, and if I want a new wave of Marvel Legends, I'll try to sell some older stuff. If I want some, you know, Mafex or, you know, SH Figure Arts figures that are, because those are kind of pricey, I try to sell something off, you know. But this figure is like 6 feet long, this dragon. It's going to take up a lot of space. And I'm over here thinking, yeah, I'm going to buy it. But then I'm thinking, I'm going to get it. And it's just going to sit on the floor in the box for maybe months until, you know, figure out what to do with it. And what I wanted to say is like, that stuff, I know people are going to be like, well, it's just toys. But, you know, that stuff can get really stressful sometimes, because you want to collect all these lines. You want to collect everything. But you just don't have the space, you know? Like, I love Marvel, so I collect Marvel Legends. I love DC, so I collected a lot of I have most of the DC Universe Classics line. I love Star Wars, so I collected most of the Star Wars line. I love TMNT, so I collect a lot of TMNT stuff. Lord of the Rings, it just keeps going and going and going. Dragon Ball Z, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, all that stuff. But then it gets to the point where like you can't really collect everything, and then you can't really beat yourself up for that too, because for an example, I had and it just stresses you out, you know? Like, you have all this stuff. Like, I'm never going to stop collecting figures, never. But what I got to learn is I can't be a completist on every line, no matter what, because it's just not healthy. It's not financially, it's not good. You know, even like, you know, my wife, she's been very supportive of me since she's met me, of me collecting figures. She'll help me buy figures, but, you know, there's times where I can tell, you know, she's kind of like, you know, you got to pump the brakes a little bit, you know, and she's 100% right. You know, there's times where I plan date nights, and I plan all the Targets and Walmarts that are on the way there that we're going to hit, just so I can look up for all the stuff that I want. But back to, I kind of went off the rails a little bit, but like, for example, like, there's been times where I bought stuff, I thought I needed it, thought I wanted it, sat there on the floor, never opened it. And then I just was like, why did I buy that stuff? And then I ended up selling off. Like, an example, I had these Storm Collectibles, the Mortal Kombat figures, which were awesome looking figures. I don't know if they were great figures because I never opened them. I had them sitting on the floor for like maybe 2 years. I had pretty much the whole line, the Mortal Kombat Storm Collectibles. I had most of the Street Fighter ones. And I just joke with one of my friends. I have another friend that collects figures. He's an action figure collector as well. What's up, Manuel? And then, well, I was joking with him. I was like, because he's like, are you ever gonna open your Storm Collectibles figures? He didn't have any of those at the time. And I, you know, I'm like, why? You want them? I'll sell them to you, $2,000, all of them. And he was like, I'll take them. And I go, are you serious? I'll sell them to you $2,000. I probably could sold them for a little bit more, but I had pretty much the whole line. And he's like, yeah. So the next day he goes to the bank and pulls out cash, comes, meets me at my house, and I'm over here, you know, helping him. He comes in my, you know, in my house, and we're just loading the figures into his car, which was pretty funny because, you know, the neighbors are seeing us, you know, what are these guys putting in their car? You know, we're just coming out with boxes of figures, you know. So that was funny. But like that, see, like I didn't have to buy those figures. I'm glad they have a good home now because my friend, him and his son have made a connection with action figures now to where they go and shop together for action figures. And, you know, they like, you know, posing and displaying action figures, you know. It's a, you know, it's a cool thing they like to spend, you know, time doing. So at the time, you know, at the same time, it ended up, you know, those ended up making someone else happy. But it's like, why did I buy those? They were literally laying on the floor forever. So, you know, so it's like, it's the main thing of this video. It's, yeah, it's about mental health, but it's like, it's okay not to have everything. Back when I first started collecting was simple for me. All there was Marvel Legends and NECA stuff. Like just certain NECA lines, you know. So it was easy. It was just that. And then, you know, DC Classics came along. Diamond Select started pumping out stuff. And then later on, you know, Motu Classics came out. Black Series, and you bet I started collecting everything, you know. And then I wanted to be a completist. I wanted to have everything. And back then stuff was way cheaper than it is now. So it was a lot. It wasn't such of a, you know, of just throwing money everywhere, because I mean you can buy a whole wave of Marvel Legends for like less than $100. But like in Black Series, Star Wars started coming out with 6-inch figures, and I was like, dude, I gotta have these. So I was a completist for Black Series for a long time, until I realized I couldn't be. I was like, I'm buying all these background characters that I don't even care about. So I started, you know, selling a lot of that stuff off, keeping just the characters I like. Like I love Boba Fett, I love Darth Maul. Just, you know, I'll buy a lot of those characters. But do I really need to have like the cantina scenes? All that stuff's awesome. Do I really need to have every background alien? Do I really, you know? And part of the FOMO thing that came with that was that another mental thing that came with that is like, I was always feeling like if I get rid of certain figures, that means I'm not a real fan. And to me, I was always really like insecure when it comes to something like that. I don't know if that's the right word to use for this, but insecure. Like if I sell off most of my Star Wars collection, then I'm not a real Star Wars fan. If I sell a lot of my Marvel Legends figures, that means I'm not a real Marvel fan. And I always thought that in the back of my mind, like, I can't sell a lot of my Dragon Ball Z figures because I love Dragon Ball Z. Then someone's going to be like, oh, then how come you don't have this character? Then you're going to... And to me, I was always like, it always made me feel that way. And I don't know why. It's like, who am I really trying to impress in this hobby? You know, people come over, I'll show them, and they're like, you know, they think it's cool. But it's like, I'm really the only one that looks at it, me and my wife. So it's like, who am I really trying to impress, you know? As long as I'm happy with it, as long as the collection to me is where I want it to be, you know, I'm happy. You know, I've been lucky that I've been able to collect for this long. Collect a lot of the stuff. I have a lot of the stuff. Probably 90% of the stuff I want, I have. Now it's like trying to get rid of the, you know, stuff that doesn't make me happy. Been selling a lot of stuff, trying to fund other things. Like I said, I'm trying not to use the money I actually earn from my day job, from my actual job, and you know, if I'm going to buy something, I try to sell something and try to get something, you know, flip something. When I say flip something, I'm not like scalping, not a scalper, you know, sell stuff what the market is at, you know. So, if I'm not going to sell a Marvel Legends old school Dragon Man for like $20 when it goes for like 300, you know, it's just not going to happen. It's just, you know, you got to go with what the market is, you know. I'm also not going to get ripped off. But stuff like that, you know, and, so yeah, so, you know, so what I'm pretty much trying to do is not try to get, not to get too caught up in you gotta have everything, like, you know, like NECA stuff. Like this shelf, like all the horror stuff, like I'm like, I gotta have every Michael Myers. But I love Michael Myers, and that's fine. It's only like 10 versions of Michael Myers. So in the end, you know, it's not too crazy. But like Star Wars, there's like a million characters. Can't buy all those. You know, and then like you know, like just all this other stuff. You know, like NECA's a lot easier to collect. The TMNT, they're getting pretty crazy with it. So I'm kind of trying to, you know, pump the brakes on that a little bit because NECA's the thing NECA's good at is they're good at making you buy the same character like 5 or 6 times, whether it's Turtles, Universal Monsters, Predators. Predators was another line I had, like every single character. Sold them all off because one, they were freaking always falling over. Their ankles are so weak. And I just kept the City Hunter and the Jungle Hunter, and I'm happy. And I have Dutch, and I'm happy. And back to what I was saying. What was I saying? Yeah, so NECA's good at making you buy 5 or 6 of every character they have. They'll come up with Glow in the Dark. They'll come up with battle damage. They'll come up with extra weapons, deluxe. You know, Comic Con exclusives. They come up. NECA's. They got this hobby. They're experts at it. So, and then for example, like, so now I'm trying to sell stuff off. Like, I had almost a lot of the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z stuff, and it was just like messing with me because there was some characters I didn't have, and it's just like, oh, when am I gonna get it? And just the fact that you see holes on your shelf is like kind of bugs you, and it's just like, that's not healthy. You know, it's not healthy to be thinking about figures when I'm at work. It's not healthy when I'm supposed to be having date night with my wife, and you know, we go out to dinner, I'm over here thinking about, you know, damn, I can't wait for this figure to come out, or this and that. You know, it's just not healthy. So, you know, I'm trying to, you know, work on, you know, you can't afford everything, and you, once you realize that, and you know, you can enjoy things from afar, you know, like for example, this line, and this line is awesome, like the Mondo, the Batman animated series. Like, these are freaking awesome, great figures, but those are expensive. Those are expensive, and they come out like, oh, Mondo's doing X-Men animated series in that size. Those figures are like around $200 each, sometimes $300. They're doing Spider-Man animated series. They're doing freaking He-Man. They're doing everything. And that's a line that's like, man, I wish I could be all in, but I can't. And it's okay. You know, you can enjoy those. When it comes to Batman animated series, I'm going to collect the ones. I don't need to have every villain, but I'm going to collect the ones that I like. I'm not going to collect X-Men. I'm not going to collect Spider-Man. I can enjoy those from afar. I can watch someone's reviews and just enjoy it, watch it. But like I said, if I get it, it's probably just going to lay on the floor for a while until I have somewhere to put it. So, yeah. And, for example, like that Baathir, that dragon, man, I want to get that so bad. But that figure is going to determine whether I keep spiraling out or I get my shit together when it comes to keeping this hobby under control. So, you know, this hobby's awesome. Love it. Wouldn't trade it for any other hobby. You know, I have a lot of other stuff I like to do, other things I do. You know, love watching sports, you know, love watching movies, playing video games. But, you know, when it comes to action figures, you know, that's, you know, like a lot of people, it's their, you know, their stress-free zone. And for me, it's always been. So, yeah, so, you know, sorry to bore you guys. And if should have said this in the beginning, if you're rich, you have an endless amount of cash, just don't even watch this video. I should have said it from the beginning. Sorry if I, you know, I'm gonna have all these comments like, you broke ass, or this and that, or blah blah, must suck, you can't afford everything. I'm like, well, no, I can't afford everything, you know, but I've been blessed that I can pretty much have most of the stuff I want. I said 90%. That freaking dragon might be the 10% that I need to, you know, but you know, I don't know. I keep saying I'm not gonna get it, and then I want it, I'm not gonna get it. That thing's really, it's an awesome. I don't really collect Mythic Legions either. I have a couple of Cosmic Legions and a couple of the Figura Obscura lines. I don't even have one Mythic Legions. And so I wouldn't consider myself a Mythic Legions collector, but Four Horsemen are just killing it with that dragon. That dragon is amazing. So I'm going to try. It's going to take a lot of willpower to, you know. And it's funny because it's willpower and it's green. It's like a Green Lantern ring, you know. Green Lantern symbolizes willpower. And that dragon is green, and it's going to take a lot of willpower to not want to get that dragon. You know, if I end up not getting that dragon, you know, you're gonna see a Green Lantern ring come from the sky and just come into my, you know, land on my finger and stuff, and I become the next Green Lantern or something. If that's what it's gonna take, that's a pretty awesome figure. It's probably gonna be the biggest grail of figures ever. So yeah, so sorry to bore you guys. You know, I just thought, I don't even know if I talked about mental. Well, actually, I'm not done. It's okay not to collect everything. The final message. It's okay not to collect everything. You can enjoy things. You know, you can watch other people's reviews. You can enjoy things from afar. You don't have to buy all these things. You don't, if you feel like you're just buying it just to have it because of FOMO. A lot of companies they know this. They know people have FOMO. They know people are gonna see something and then they're gonna want it. So, you know, a lot of these companies are doing like little time exclusive stuff. You know, Mondo does it a lot, or or retailer exclusives where you can only get it here. It's only going to be available for a certain amount of time. So, you know, they want people, you know, get scared. They want people, you know, like, oh, I gotta have it now. There's only going to be this many made, and it's only going to be available for a week, or it's only going to be, you know, I gotta have it. And a lot of companies, they don't care. These companies don't care what your financial, you know, status is. And like I said, if you're rich, you don't have to watch this video. You know, you don't have anything to worry about. But these companies, they don't care they just want you to buy their stuff. So if you're going to be buying all these things and you don't have an endless amount, just buy the stuff that you like. You don't have to have every Dragon Ball Z character. You don't have to have every Marvel Legends character. You don't have to have every Black Series. You don't have to collect every TMNT villain. You know, those TMNT's awesome. You know, if you can, get all the villains, but you don't have to get all that stuff. You don't have to. You know, collections, at the end of the day, who are you really trying to impress? If that's what you're trying to do, at the end of the day, if it makes you feel happy to have everything, then, you know, get it. But, you know, but if you're buying stuff, you put it on a shelf, and then it's just like, you know, you're already thinking about the next thing, then you have a problem. If you're already, you know, if you open up a NECA figure, put it on your shelf, you know, pose it for a couple minutes, then put it on your shelf, and then you're already thinking about the next NECA figure to buy before you even had time to fully enjoy that one, then you got a problem. And I was guilty of that a lot. Been working on it. I would actually say I'm making progress. Been selling a lot of stuff that I haven't cared about, that I just, like I said, I just bought, put it on the shelf, didn't care about it anymore. Just trying to keep the stuff that makes me happy, because at the end of the day, when you have your shelves just full of stuff and all you see is just, you know, globs of color, can't even make out what figures are in the back or this and that, then that's when it doesn't become enjoyable. You can't really enjoy the figures unless they're in the front. If you have figures all the way in the back, you can't. The way my setup is, I don't know. Other people have crazy setups where, you know what I'm saying, but the only way I'm able to display my stuff like this stuff, like you can see stuff in the back, but not really. You know, that's like, you know, and sometimes, you know, that sucks. It makes it not enjoyable because you can't showcase everything you have properly. And like I said, back to the mentals, is that it messes with you when it's something that you shouldn't even be like thinking about, you know? And it's getting to the point where, you know, is it fun anymore? And for me, I'm always going to collect. But I got to find that joy in it, because right now it's like 70-30. 70% enjoy, 30% it's like, you know, I got this figure and I'm excited, but I got nowhere to put it. So, you know, I got to figure out, you know, a bigger room is always an option, but then it's like, that's more money you got to spend. So it's always, you know, try to keep it, you know, limited. Try to keep what you like, you know. So sorry to bore you guys. I know I've said that already, but you know, everybody you know, just collect within your means. If you're rich, screw you, you're able to buy everything. And so yeah, this was Devious RV's Red Right Hand review.